Alpha, beta, sigma, omega, whatever you want to call it. Honestly, the mindset of the alpha sigma, oh my goodness, we're going raw, no editing. Movement is just, it's really damaging and stupid for men nowadays. And the first thing that made me really think about it, like I've thought about it before, but I was actually on, it wasn't Instagram, it was YouTube. And it was this post, and you know the regular Sigma lone wolf kind of post, and they used the manga characters, and it was like Guts. I think it was like a Vinland Saga and a Vagabond panel too. But first of all, that's what got me going, because like I'm not too well versed in Vagabond or Vinland Saga, as I should be, honestly. But at least for being a long time Berserk fan since a kid, the whole using Guts as an image for the Sigma movement or even Alpha is pretty stupid, and it spits in the face of Miura and his artwork that he created before passing. Rest in peace. The whole concept of like Sigma, of like, you know, being detached, kind of the lone wolf scenario, isn't good. Scientifically, human beings were supposed to unite and work together hand in hand. We're communal creatures, or people, I should say. And even in a sense, when it comes to Guts, you find that his whole journey of him being alone is due to extreme levels of trauma and mishaps. I don't even want to say mishaps, really tragedy. And you find the healing in him growing as a character and really coming into himself whenever there's segments of him journeying with other people and communing with other people, having fellowship with other characters, whether that is the early stage of the Golden Age arc, joining the Band of the Hawk and healing through that, or later on in the series, meeting characters like Farnese and Serpicchio and everyone like that, and Isma, and just even Puck's humor. We may not think of it as anything, but over time, the jokes and stuff like that, and the lightheartedness in this like world of darkness opens Guts up. And so it's almost like I don't want to butcher this and use the wrong terminology, but antithesis to the whole Sigma mindset and movement. So even using Guts himself as that is backwards. And if I'm not mistaken, at least for Vinland Saga, two of my good friends, like my best friends, read the Vinland Saga. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same story like that, but just knowing it being about Vikings and battling, I know there's got to be a lot of fellowship between warriors, and different characters, marriages, and things like that. Vagabond, I won't speak too much about. I actually have another close friend that reads Vagabond, so I will ask him about that. But regardless, you see this, and even knowing about Japan and the rates of suicide and loneliness and stuff there, you would think that these authors or mangaka will write stories that will move in the opposite direction, even if it is one that starts off with bleakness that moves towards light and hope. You find a lot of them outside of Isayama. I hope I didn't say his name wrong, with Attack on Titan. Outside of him, most of these guys are trying to fill light and hope into the people and generations and stuff. And so even if it did start off as dark fantasy or darker, bleaker stories, they kind of tend to move towards hope and even the striving and struggling through situations to achieve a better, brighter day. So already there, I just seen that net, like I said, this has been a thought in my mind for a while, but after seeing that, I was like, yeah, this is the nail in the coffin for me. Kind of want to say something. I got to say something about this. I think also when it comes to the Sigma and the Alpha mindsets, it has a lot of anger and bitterness and like lack of love towards women um, and even the world itself. You find a lot of people, like, naturally as human beings, like males, just men. I don't even want to say men because that's something I want to talk about and touch on later. But let's just say males, young boys, as we grow up, we're not naturally like that. What happens is the world punches us in the face a lot, and people become bitter. And to a degree, it's understandable, but that's not how we should go. If anything, it's just testing us at a young age and like hardening us up on the outside, but it should make us softer on the inside. Not in the sense of being very emotional, although you should be able to have a grasp on your emotions and be able to express it in proper ways. I think that shows a level of like maturity, mental maturity, even I guess you would say emotional maturity in itself. But whether it could be any sort of circumstances, from bullying to, getting rejected by your first crush, the loss of a loved one, a friend or something. It could be anything, and it just turns people bitter. And you tend to see that in these mindsets, there is a lack of love. One is like secluding themselves away from everybody, and in a sense, you see it to not really get hurt. Rather, the other one becomes outwardly abrasive and aggressive. I think naturally when you are coming into manhood, there is a sense of both of those. There's aspects of Sigma and Alpha that play a role in manhood, but it isn't the end all be all, nor is it the most important, and nor is it how you truly become free and move ahead in life. Another thing to even touch on, still on this topic of bitterness, is just like the concept of like the bitterness, because you see a lot in these movements and mindsets. There's a lot of bitterness towards women. And it's pretty foolish because even if you think about it, right, women naturally develop faster than men. So you would have this thing where it's like this woman, whether she is a young girl or maybe older, whatever age or bracket you're in, she's probably looking at you and perceiving that you are not able to handle her yet, and be in a proper relationship and lead as a man should. Like, what you're looking at is your inside, what she sees and perceives as you right now. Now, there are some women that choose to be with a man because they can also perceive their inside, but that's not always, and they shouldn't be held accountable for that, because you are in the right now, not the future, which you will be, but which you are right now. And there's always this thing of like, oh, the ones who do that, they'll get rewarded. And I mean, as they should, but you also cannot be mad that because of the you are now, that they're not with that. You have to become. Where manhood is a continual thing until death and even onwards. In my belief of eternal life and stuff, Christ. It is a continual growth. You never stop becoming a man. Always, every moment, every second, every choice. It's really not even just about time, but choices. Every choice in life, like, things will happen to you, and it's how you react to it. As in the way of that I said that situations may have happened and it made people bitter, but true manhood and maturity is when you decide to move in love instead and not let things taint you in this life, and show that you are strong in the face of adversity. Which is a thing like with Guts learning in a sense, and even still struggling, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy for him to run around and swing his sword and kill, but to protect, to not harm, to fight off the darkness, to fight off the bitterness, that is where you see his true struggles happening in life. And it reflects reality. A lot of people say that life reflects art, but it's really the other way around. I mean, it can be both, but it's kind of like the chicken and the egg concept, like which one came first, and obviously life came first for art. So I think a lot of men miss out on things, and a woman is gonna spin the block. Once you connected in everything, they're gonna spin the block. Once you are whether now or later, once you become who you become and you develop, and then some won't. I won't say every single one will, but most of the time you do see that, and then it's this bitterness in you, and it's like F you to the face, and it's like all these memes and stuff, but it's stupid because if you think about it, now you are ready for this, and you could be missing out on a good opportunity. And that doesn't mean you have to cuff and marry and jump in right there, but like, be friends, get to know them, understand them, maybe go out on dates, whatever, to really see what they're on. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, it's like, right, I don't know if this is a really good analogy. I believe it is, but you don't just automatically get the champion medal your rookie year. It can happen sometimes, but it's like you have to build skill and years of practice. Like a high schooler doesn't just play basketball and then you put him in a league game and then he wins the NBA finals. Like, no, he goes through high school, he goes through college, then even when he's in the NBA, it may not be his first season. It could be, you feel me, his rookie year where it's like, oh, they go all the way to the finals and win and he's rookie of the year and all this other stuff. But it's like, it takes time. Like I said, I hate saying time, but just becoming. And so it's like now you are at that level, and it's like this thing of like, a bitterness of looking down on them and all this other stuff, but it's like now you are in a position to deal with them. I don't want to even say deal or handle them, it's like very off, but you're able to have a relationship with them, lead them, guide them, and be and show what a man is supposed to be, in the way of like true masculinity. And it takes time. I keep saying it takes time, so it's like, it's funny, I keep not trying to say that, but yeah. And I think a lot of dudes miss out on opportunities and then they're bitter. And then there's even this thing of like, okay, even with the alpha, it's like teach them, run through girls. It's like there's no sexual discipline in that, and like to be a true man, you need sexual discipline, period. And sex is very sacred and is a final step in a relationship with a woman, and it should be upheld as that. And as men, even with the way society is going now, it's because of the lack of like men, and that applies to the sexual discipline. It is just such a lack of it, and that's why everything is, regardless of whatever people think, the way women are now, the way things are now in society, the way people act, is just a lack of men. Nobody's standing up because it's hard. Even now it's hard. It's so many odds stacked against us, but that is the whole thing. Like using the Gus as an example against the adversity, like being a man, standing up, gritting your teeth and going against it with love. And it's almost backwards. It's like, bro, you did all of this work to throw it all away just to smash girls and like drain yourself of your energy, your potential, your life, and then get into situations and ruin everything. It's like they always say things like, some of the greatest men ever have fell to the hands of a woman. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like that. Just have some self-discipline and say no. And then even with it, it's like, test these women just like how you were tested. Test them, see what they're into, see their interests, see where they want to go in life, see if it aligns with what you have, and then move properly. And like I said, don't be mad when a woman spins a block. You should actually be happy because of the simple fact that she's looking. You know what I'm saying? It still shows the interest, and then you're like, oh, you're only here for my money or whatever, if that's even where you're at. Or you're only here because I have this, and like that may hold some truth, and there's nothing wrong with it. You would think if you're the protector, right? You have resources to protect, hone, and nurture her and raise her and develop her properly, rather before you didn't. So you can't really be mad about that. What were you gonna do? Just lay up in a bed all day and play video games or watch TV or Netflix or something? Like, no, you're able to cultivate a family now and raise a home in an environment. You have the abilities, tools to essentially do that now. So you shouldn't be upset that, oh, this person has spun the block. And then if you believe that they have evil intentions or that their intentions aren't pure, test it. Like I said, get to know them. Be wise, be sharp, pay attention, hang out, talk, go on dates. You don't even, a lot of things even too, like I said, you don't even have to rush. Some of the best relationships right now, and I get it, people are like starving for love, men and women, which is necessary. Love needs to be in the air and in the world. We just tend to rush relationships rather than like rushing into relationships rather than taking our time. Like, what happened to friendships? Like, I know it's like, and it's even better because it's like if you're being friends with someone, you know what I'm saying? But you have boundaries and things. But on the inside, you both know what you would like. It just cultivates it better because you become more open with each other. It's this term that we use, and it's like becoming naked in front of each other in a sense of just like vulnerability and like understanding each other more, because then you can learn what a person is like and not have to have the worries of like, oh, crash out. Like, maybe you're dealing with someone, you're dating someone, and then they start showing you sides of them that you're like, oh, I did not know you were like that. Rather, if you're their friend, you're going to learn that eventually. They're not going to be able to hide it because it's going to be a level of comfortability that they will show their head. They will show you what they're like. And so it's better that we take time to things. So we definitely need that more. And ultimately, these are just things I believe it's just like the road of masculinity, the road of manhood. I'm sorry, I'm just going over my notes for this. Actually doing notes this time. Just gathering my thoughts to properly express myself. I just believe ultimately, even in my personal opinion here, a lot of people can tap out of this if they would like. I guess just, I don't really care, but I guess a disclaimer if it can be perceived as religious or too spiritual or anything, but I kind of look at like this life, and even to become a true man is to walk with Christ, to walk with God. And it's a constant thing of him growing you, pruning you. Fruits, like he said, without me, you won't be able to do anything. But with me, you can do anything. With God, anything is possible. And it's like the growing and understanding of what God intended men to be from the beginning. Not as if, I think through that, yes, we do also understand and become the concept of man as a species and what is intended for us, but also as men and manhood and masculinity. And I also think that womanhood is discovered through that, through being able to help them develop and bring it out of them as it was intended, working hand in hand in fellowship and communion. And like I said, you kind of see it with Jesus walking his disciples, even to the point where his own disciples betrayed him. A lot of people betrayed him, spat in his face and everything. He still forgave them, still loved them, still walked onwards in the face of adversity. And this is like the signs of like a true man. You know what I'm saying? Like walking and filling this world with love. Even in this world, it shows now. what happened is like the world is cold, callous, chaotic, and what are we missing? True manhood, true masculinity. Men were supposed to be the pillars of society in the world. And when we're not that, when we're not holding everything together, you find it just out of whack. It's like this thing of like how with Christ and like the church is her bride, where he is like the pillar in the marriage. Just like love your wife like Christ loves the church. And it's the same thing of sacrificing, loving, moving forward. There's gonna be like, even with it, like there's the book, the Way of the Superior Man and stuff like that. And just period, any story in any way, it's like, all right, you see your woman and she's gonna throw stuff at you, she's gonna irk you, she's gonna try you, she's gonna be very emotional, very sporadic, some more than others. And I think, right, even that, like I said, it's the development of them and becoming more mature and learning how to channel, harness. I don't think there's anything wrong with them expressing their emotions, but to be able to channel it and harness it, they need to see that, right? So you are the image of that, showing, hey, this is the discipline of how you do it, and how to like love them and love on them properly and fill them with love and change their mind. And it's also like the world and life is like a grander or another example of that, where it's like you walk through life, it's going to be very chaotic, it's going to spit in your face, it's going to try all these different things to get you down, bog you down, and defeat you and beat you. But as long as you keep going forward, don't get bitter, don't get angry, move forward in love, like it will be all right. You feel what I'm saying? It's this thing of like keep knocking. We have this thing of like and I feel like maybe I'm gonna talk about that on my next video. But it's this thing of just like one thing happens or a wall comes up and we're ready to give up. It's like, no, as long as you're alive, like you coming out the womb, you came as a victor. You were the one sperm cell that made it out of millions. So already being born and coming out alive, you're a victor. It's like you being alive, anything is possible. You can accomplish anything in life. It's just you have to move forward in love. It's so many times where the world and life will get like heavy and it'll try you. But then you also see that your environment changes just as your woman will change. You deal with women and move towards love with them. And people think that also too, like love is just letting them walk all over you. Like, no, you also put your foot down and there's truth, and you have to put up boundaries and set the tone for things for sure and lead the way. But there's also just this thing of just like not being angry, not being petty, not going the same way. It's just like okay, not letting it affect you and bring you down, and like, okay, well, my woman's angry, then I'm angry. If she's upset, I'm upset. Like, no, you're the one that fills her with love, uplift her. When she's moody, you kiss on her, hug her, whatever you need to do to uplift her. And the same way you do it with the world, with your gifts and what your purpose is and what you're put here to do to change the world. You find that your environment changes around you, like it adapts. The light, it spreads. The people around you, they like, people look up to you, respect you, harness your craft and things around you. Money, whatever you want to talk about, it all will come to you in due time. You just have to be ready for it. We have this thing of just like instant gratification, where it's just like, and don't get me wrong, it's a good thing to a degree to be able to look inside yourself and say, hey, I'm great, I know what I'm capable of doing. But the question you have to ask yourself is, have you done it yet? Have you become it yet? No, you are becoming. So when there's rejection and when there's things that are happening, you can't be upset about that, because it's like you're still becoming. You're not even there yet where you need to be. And you should look at the adversity as like sharpening the furnace that is like the furnace of affliction that is bringing up all of the impurities out of you, the gold, the silver that you are. It's bringing up the impurities for God to skip off the top. So when it's all said and done, you'll be perfected. Then when you go into the world, because it'll never stop, you know what I'm saying? There will always be new challenges and new things that come along, like, right? It may not even be a thing like talking about a relationship, and it may not even be your wife that specifically she's upset with you in a moment, but maybe an adversity comes and gets your family. And so she's leaning to you and looking at you like, hey, what are we gonna do? You are the protector. And it's just like, I got this. Same thing with the world where it'll throw new hurdles at you. It's like, yeah, I rock with you, but what are you gonna do about this stuff? And it's like, I'm perfected now, I'm perfect now, I know how to handle this. A lot of times it don't even be something new. It'll be the same thing, maybe just on a larger level or on the same level. It's just a test. It's just you gotta pass it. But the only way you can pass it is if you study. And so you gotta look at the affliction and study. And so just in these things, it's just this. The only word I could think of is toxic. It sounds corny, but the toxic mindset of the alpha and sigma. It shouldn't be anything, period, coming into all these little, it's almost like the church, which is bad even in that, coming into all these different mindsets and denominations of this is this and branches and brackets off. It's like, no, it is one thing, and that is manhood and masculinity, period. There are aspects of all that can fit in, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't. And the main thing is just love. Love, wisdom, perseverance. Like, even when I look at it, right? It sounds like a man. You go to 1 Corinthians 13. And this is where I'll end it at, actually. So you go to 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8, and it said, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angry. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And so even before that, when he talks about things of like, if I speak in tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardships that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Meaning nothing in this life matters without love. And you find the thing of just like, men are supposed to being in the image of God, and God is love. You are also a love creature, so you should move in love in this world and fill this world with love in whatever way possible you can. And when you look at these things, it's not something like, and there's nothing wrong in the sense of being soft in a way, at least in the comparison of the world being hard and callous, right? You feel me? Because persevering, protecting, that's grit. Patience, that's hard, right? But I'm talking about not tough in the cold, calculated, dark, as in the way of the world. In the comparison to that, it's soft. But true grit, and you find these things like, the world can't do these kind of things. You look at this, it's like, manhood is patient, it is kind. Manhood does not envy. Masculinity does not boast, it is not proud. You feel what I'm saying? Things of like the alpha, it's not toxic and over the top. Is there a confidence that you need to have and hold your head up high and move like a lion? Yes, of course. But to be so overly aggressive and dominating and trying to, it just shows a sense of insecurity that you don't need to have. If you're secure in yourself, you'll just be confident and moving. People will respect it and see that, and you'll invoke awe and respect. You don't have to search for it and try to get it and grab a hold of it and attain it. Masculinity is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Masculinity does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Masculinity always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Masculinity never fails. And so, like, we just need to move like that. Before anything, you should practice love, and everything else will unfold before you.